would at least dislodge the speaker's opposition and potentially even force them to resign. You know that it would be relatively easy to have one of your coalition members who works in child welfare corroborate the senator's allegation, and you don't doubt her prediction about the impact of publicizing it, if it is indeed true. You can't see any other way to win the funding that you know will benefit hundreds, if not thousands of children and their families. What should you do? What are the implications of responding positively to the senator's suggestions, of responding negatively? What should you consider in deciding whether to act on this information? Should you consult with anybody? With whom? I think we should totally do it.
Can you guys hear me now? I switched to my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you froze for a minute.
So we're recording.
So if we look at that little pyramid that Bacall sent us, with the protection of life as the highest one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it's complicated because if the allegations are not true, then that's not good. But at the same time, by getting the money, aren't you protecting life? So even if it's not true, shouldn't you do everything in your power to protect life?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because truthfulness and full disclosure is literally the last one on the pyramid.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you guys, I mean, so in my class, somebody presented this one, and they brought up a really good point about it. Sorry, not to like barge in on your group thing.
No,
but
No, please.
they brought up the point of like, how ethical is it though to bring up the idea that like this child abuse thing like could be used as like manipulation, kind of like it's not even part of like the case. And then like, yeah, maybe it's true, but like, is that their place to like even look into that or report it or like use that against them when it's not related to what their thing was? So it was like a weird thing that they just an idea they brought up, like, is it our place to do it?
So did they try to get funding a different way without bringing that up, or what did they?
They did. But I mean,
Yeah.
But,
I don't
but
know
how,
that
I mean,
I don't know that I would want to make an enemy with the Speaker of the House. And that's private information that really, at that point, it's just gossip, right? It's just,
well, yeah, it sounds like it's hearsay. So
right.
There's no proof. And I mean, I totally agree. The only reason I was saying that was because the little pyramid
for sure
has truthfulness and full disclosure at the very bottom. And at the end of the day, getting those funds is protecting the lives of a lot of children.
Right.
And their families. But I don't know, because it's a tough thing, because you don't want to make an enemy. And you also don't want to be making up stuff.
Right. Who's the pyramid from? Is that from NASW?
I don't know
where Bacall got that.
Can you remember?
It looks like it's just from a academic article.
It says BC Association of Social Workers.
Oh, it is?
Does that mean British Columbia? They're Canadians.
I don't know.
Under the pyramid, it says like Lauenberg, Dolgoff, and Harrington 2000.
Yeah.
But
I was just looking at the top of the page.
Child abuse prevention programs aren't necessarily the life. It's not necessarily, I mean, it's definitely helping children not be abused, but it's not necessarily
saving their life.
Yes.
I would push back on that though and say that if we don't have programs in place, it is putting children at risk of physical harm, and potentially I mean, potentially it could be like lethal. I mean, and then I guess you also have to consider like what are the ramifications of of child abuse in general. So
right.
if we look
The
at
long term. Mhm.
exactly, like, okay, so over the course of this person's life, if they're abused as a child, are they then going to go on to use substances
Right.
or engage in risky behaviors when they're adults, and then potentially end up dying, or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot for sure. I think typically a lot of funding goes more towards interventions, not prevention, just because the whole prevention, it's easier when you see a child who's black and blue to intervene and get funding for that, because you can tug at the heartstrings a little bit more than, hey, let's educate people on better ways to interact with children. So child abuse prevention funding is a lot harder to get. It's not as much as a buy-in.
Yeah.
Something interesting I just pulled up on the NASW Code of Ethics. One of the principles or values is dignity and worth of a person.
Right.
Technically should dignify that senator or whoever, even though we don't like that he's not giving us funding. He
Totally.
apparently has worth, and we should respect his dignity and not pull out his dirty laundry.
Right.
Well, and it doesn't seem very ethical to do that.
There's
No.
another value, which
Like,
is
it's
integrity. So
professionalism is another value from the Code of Ethics, and that's
Right.
like, that's not professional at all.
integrity, professional, dignity, and worth.
Yeah. So, well, what do we do then?
And there's also clients. Oh no, that's different. Yeah, probably try to get funding from somewhere else. Say, all right, we're not going to get it from you, clearly.
Or even if we could negotiate the terms of what we want, and seeing if that could be a better thing that they would push for, in like as far as bills go, and if there was anything that they didn't like about our setup kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely says the biggest opponent is the Speaker of the House, who's pretty against it. I don't know. Does it say that we were able to meet with him in person? We've had media pressure, individual lobbying,
Yeah.
and even appeals, but nothing has budged him at
We haven't
all.
talked to him in person.
I mean, do we need him though? What if we get everybody else on board? Then he kind of is pure
Well, it sounds like we
pressure.
tried to, like with the media and the lobbyists and the senators.
House lobbying of House members, but they don't say if it's like everybody. I don't know. If everybody is for it, wouldn't the Speaker kind of have to get on board?
Not necessarily.
No.
If he has the final word, no.
No, and that's one of the hardest parts about getting funding for any program is who are you lobbying from? What is their stance? What's the budget? I mean, people have to fight for funding constantly. Bacall just went and did that. The project we just did last time to try to get sole sourced, and it's rough, and grant writing is rough, and trying to get funding is really difficult, and everybody's fighting for funding, and everybody has their story, and everyone has their reasons and justification. And child abuse definitely is one of those that you can, nobody wants to see a child being abused, so you can give some of those more personal stories. So I don't know if he's completely not willing to budge, and we've done everything we can. I think you just keep trying.
Does it say why he's not allowing the bill, even besides the alleged?
Just the alleged. Mm-hmm.
That's just it. We don't know why else he's refusing to.
Hi.
Yeah, it just says the
It
biggest
says
opponent is
that
just
the experience explains his hostility to your coalition and its goals. So maybe because of the confirmed child abuse allegation, he's a little more hostile about it. That's the only thing it says. So he might be pushing back and not willing to fund it because it's a personal issue.
Right,
I think that's what they're saying, right? Like because of this sorry, Rivka, what?
Oh yeah, I'm just agreeing with you. He's offended on a personal level that he got this charge, and so he doesn't want to support a program that has to do with it.
So it says in the little assignment that we're supposed to use the ethical screen assessment and the ethical rules screen as we're evaluating this. So for the ethical screen assessment,
Was that
we're supposed
that 10? The list of 10?
yeah. So we're supposed to identify your own relevant personal values in relation to this ethical dilemma. So I guess we should just go through these.
Yeah, let's go through all 10.
Can we just,
So,
go ahead.
yeah.
You're good, yeah.
So who wants to go first?
These are personal values that we might
What are
have.
your personal values?
Before we do that, are we supposed to be writing this stuff down to turn
I'm
in?
taking notes.
Okay, Rivka, thank you.
You're
Okay.
the best. Are we supposed to create a video too? We're supposed to make a video of this.
I'm recording it.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So do we have to do the PowerPoint like the other class, or is it just this discussion and going through the whole
I
assessment?
think it's just the discussion, and then like we can fill out the Google Doc and make it look pretty. But
Yeah.
Okay.
She said just our discussion.
And she's wanted it less than half an hour, so we should get going.
Okay.
Yes. So maybe we could like edit the first bit of our banter. And
I mean, I just started the recording while you were reading.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so personal values that are going to
I like people to
impact
touch
your
me.
decision.
There's one I have.
Who wants to go first?
I will. I mean, my personal values are I'm against child abuse. So I definitely, when I hear stories like this, my own biases come in. I worked at a child abuse prevention intervention center for like 15 years. And we always had pushback against this. It was really hard to get funding for prevention. It was easier to get intervention because, like I said, when you bring a child that's covered in covered in bruises, but it's heart-wrenching. It affects the whole family and these kiddos for their entire lives. So I definitely, when I hear stuff like this, I'm just like, I get frustrated. I think it's short-minded to not want to fund prevention programs.
I agree with that. I think going along with that, social justice hits home for me too. I don't know if you guys saw that Netflix documentary, the Gabriel Hernandez trial of the little boy who got killed from abuse. And I think it's just our duty and the government and officials' duty to put in plan a place to protect our most innocent, which are kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also agree. Like, I work with women at the domestic violence shelter, and so many of them have experienced child abuse when they were children themselves. And that, there's been so much research that, says, if you experience child abuse, you're more susceptible to having unhealthy relationships as an adult. And so, yeah, it absolutely impacts you for the rest of your life. And I read somewhere that child abuse it's interesting with this current pandemic, but they say child abuse is the biggest public health concern for our country.
The ACEs studies, trauma informed, all of that. They're all connected.
Yep.
So we definitely value non-child abuse. Personal value, I also value like trust, integrity, like was one of the NASW ethics. So I'll add that to the list. Cool. What was the next on that list, Ileana?
So identify any societal values relevant to the ethical decision to be made. I mean, I think we could say what we already said, because I would say being against child abuse is probably a societal value. What do you guys think?
I think so. I think it has shifted over the years. Think about when I was little, I'm a lot older, but it wasn't uncommon to get spanked and you saw that all the time. But now you see somebody get spanked in public and it's like, oh, outrage. Mm-hmm. So I think it's definitely shifting. Our society doesn't want children to be hurt.
I think society might not care as much about airing out someone's dirty laundry. They kind of like the gossip, but that doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably true too. What else? What else are some societal values that could be?
If people are saying that the money is going to come from their own taxes or whatever, they value not paying more taxes. I don't know where the money come from, but it's at the state.
Yeah, I think there's also a piece of it where it's like, it's not my problem. Like it's not my family's problem. And that happens to those people. I think that could be another. So in terms of trying to find money from another source, I think it could be harder to get like a community level involvement.
Yeah, I think it's shifting a little bit though, and people are more willing to protect a child more than it's not our problem. I've seen
I hope so.
shift. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is still, I do think a lot of people still hold on to that. And there's still the argument of, I was spanked and I'm fine. Kind of.
Totally. And I think it comes down to money. It's like everyone is all for something until they have to open their pocketbooks.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, wait a second. That's not a big deal. Okay, number 3, identify the relevant professional values and ethics.
We kind of did that. Integrity,
dignity,
worth of a person.
Right.
Professionalism.
Right.
Okay, identify alternative ethical options that you may take. So, let's see. I mean, I guess finding the money from somewhere else.
Yes, I think the ethical problem though that part of what we're trying to determine if it's ethical or not is whether or not we out the speaker, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, so then we're kind of all in agreement that we don't, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think yes. So the alternative ethical options that we have are to maintain his privacy, to maybe, I mean, we could certainly try to, you could kind of use it to maybe get in and be like,
hey, on a personal level, like talk to him like, hey, we know about this. Is this why you're against?
Is this right? And present it in a way that's not blackmailish.
How do you do that?
Yeah, like, hey, is this part of the reason why you're so against it? Could we talk about it? I don't know if you're
try to learn about why you're against it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but again, to honor and respect his dignity and worth of a person, to have professionalism. But again, and that's the dilemma. Are we willing to do that to protect these children? Or do we respect his privacy at the expense of thousands of children and families not receiving services? So.
Yeah, I mean, so is the idea that we can't, is this like a lifeboat scenario where we can't get the money from anywhere else? Because it doesn't really say that in there.
No, I think
it does.
Get the money from
you can't see any other way to win the funding that you know will benefit.
Right. So I think we're just going after this specific funding. I mean, sure, could we go after funding other places? Probably. But for this problem, for this specific problem, we're trying to get funding from
So I like that option of we try to talk to him on a personal level. None of the things in that paragraph say we've talked to him directly.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we heard this about you. We don't know if it's true or not. We don't want to air it to anybody, but we just wanted to see if this was why you're against the bill or if there's other reasons. If so, how can we resolve those concerns to get you on board? Yeah.
I mean, I think it's naive to think that we would be able to meet with someone because of that, but I would try.
It's a makeup world, yeah. We can meet with her.
At least petition. I mean, that's the thing. Ethically, we're all willing to fight for these kiddos, right? So I know that we're all against child abuse. We all want to fight for these kiddos. We'll do what we have to without crossing an ethical boundary that we can't live with ourselves. At the end of the day, am I going to be able to sleep at night knowing that I just outed this senator and his child abuse allegations, but I got to save thousands of kids? I might do it. I just might do it.
Well, that brings us to the next one. Which of the alternative ethical actions will protect to the greatest extent possible your client's rights and welfare, as well as the rights and welfare of others?
Right.
So
There's more of
protecting
them.
his rights as a person is part of our responsibility
Right.
as social workers.
Right. And outing him and bringing up the allegations does not necessarily mean we're going to get funding either. We don't even know if that's the reason why
Right.
he's pushing back against it.
Right. And we're supposed to, above all, do no harm.
Right.
And if we outed him and like, gosh, I mean, what if he decided that he couldn't live with himself anymore and he committed
Yeah.
suicide because of it? Like, I don't know. Like, there could be some pretty serious ramifications by outing him.
Right.
So, which alternative action will protect to the greatest extent possible society's rights and interests? That's a tough one.
Yep. That's where it gets hard. Because do you save one person to protect thousands? Or, I don't know. I still would feel really bad airing somebody's dirty laundry.
I still think
It feels like smearing. Just I don't really like it. So
right. Like
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So then what will we do? Just try to talk to him personally, and then if that doesn't work, then what? Then just accept the fact that we're not going to get money.
yeah, and
For
that happens
hundreds.
all the time. Sometimes you just
we
don't
will
get
get the
funding.
funding. The paragraph says we're trying to get additional funding, so we've
Okay.
got money.
So
We're trying to
we've
get
got some funding, so we're just going to be okay with that.
And keep fighting, keep researching, keep
Yeah, but I
documenting.
think as long as we keep the goal on the most important thing, is what we can do right now, because we're not going to get the funding from him. But the goal essentially is helping the kids stay safe and
Right.
Yeah. So number 7, what can you do to minimize any conflicts among 1, 2, and 3? What can you do to minimize conflicts between 5 and 6? They're talking about these on the list. So we did kind of just talk about that a little bit
Yeah.
already.
just that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We definitely all value keeping children safe, but also protecting
Yeah.
people's individual right to privacy.
Yeah. And doing no harm.
It's not like we're protecting him from abusing somebody, right?
Exactly. It's not saying that he's actively abusing
Right.
somebody. So it's like otherwise, because if he was, I think that would be a really different
It's
situation.
different.
Right.
Because then we're mandated reporters. But I mean, I guess that's another piece of it, because we are mandated reporters. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I hear like allegations of child abuse all the time that I can't corroborate. Like, I don't know if they're true or not,
Yeah.
but I still call DCFS. So in this scenario, like, because we are mandated reporters, even though.
Well, this was an allegation a few years ago, so we don't have any information that he's currently
Okay.
abusing someone. So
Yeah.
that's different. It's a different scenario.
Kind of, but even if it's allegations from a few years ago, we still would technically be supposed to report that, because there's no statute of limitation in Utah.
But no disclosure, nothing was disclosed to us that he was currently abusing someone.
Okay.
She just has information that something had happened, and bringing that information to light might help us in our quest to receive funding.
Right. Okay, which alternative action will result in your doing least harm possible? I think we already talked about that, not disclosing his dirty laundry.
Right. Least harm
Okay.
to him, you know.
Yeah, least harm to him, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's tough. Is that least harm to the kids too?
Right. Not 100%
Because maybe
sure.
down the road, if we have to work with him again, and we did air this dirty laundry, then
burn and bridges.
yeah,
Yeah. And
exactly.
And the community for receiving funds is really small. And if we were that ruthless, we could potentially be
No one would.
blacklisted for a long time, which could really harm more children in the long run.
Yeah, It would ruin our reputation.
For sure.
That's a good point. Okay, so have you considered and weighed both the short and long-term ethical consequences
Oh
of
wait,
an
we need to do
alternative?
Did we do 9, Ileana?
Yeah. Oh, nope. Thank you. To what extent will the alternative actions be efficient, effective, and ethical? So the alternative action is talking to him personally, and that's efficient because it's going directly to the source.
Right. It's private.
It's private. It could be effective. We don't know because we haven't tried it.
Right.
And
more
it's
ethical.
definitely ethical.
Yeah, it's definitely more ethical.
All right. Have you considered and weighed both the short-term and long-term ethical consequences of alternative actions?
I think we kind of talked about that. If we ruin our reputation, we hurt the cause. In the long run, other funding sources might not become available to us. People might not want to support people who are willing to do that, because who doesn't have dirty laundry they don't want aired? You know, it's like, oh, if they're willing to do that to them, they might do that for us. I don't know. So that's definitely
Right.
a long-term consequence.
Yeah, well, and even the short term too, like there could be a lot of backlash because, you know, if we're doing this publicly, you know, a lot of people are going to say like, oh, well, you know, that's his private matter, blah, blah, blah. And these people are blackmailing him. And I think that could hurt the cause in the short term too.
Right.
So.
And we don't even know if, again, that's 100% why he's against it. So it might not even be an issue.
Explained why he's against it.
You're right. And it says we've tried media pressure. We've done a lot of other things, but just nothing's budged him. So he might just, it's just not his thing.
Yep. Okay. So then the ethical rules screen is the next one that we're supposed to use. We kind of already have used this because it says examine the code of ethics to determine if any of the code rules are applicable, which we've already talked about. The dignity.
Confidentiality is another one.
Confidentiality, do no harm. What else? Professionalism.
Yeah, I think we went through that.
Yeah, we did. Okay. One or more of the code rules apply. Follow the code. What? What's this mean? The code does not address the specific problem, or so use the ethical principles screen. Huh. I guess this is just telling us which screen to use. So we would use, I think, the ethical.
Sorry, I was reading the ethics, the values. What was that, Ileana?
I was just reading through this ethical rules screen, and at the bottom, because this is like trying to determine which, if we're following the code rules or if we're following the ethical principles screen, which is the one that we went over just now. Correct? Oh.
Yeah.
Nope. Sorry. Ethical principles screen is the triangle, which we did not use the triangle, because if we were going to use the triangle.
So which one did we use?
We used the code rules.
Not the other one.
Because one or more of the code rules applied. That's why we chose to use the code rules instead of the triangle, because the triangle, if we were going to use the triangle, then we would have outed him, because protection of life, right?
Way higher than truth. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm still unclear what protection of life means, though, because that to me is like they're gonna, like, are they killing themselves? Are they like? I just think.
I think it means, and this is just my interpretation, but I think it means like if we're trying to get funding for to prevent child abuse, that would qualify as protection of life, because child abuse, we know, is damaging to somebody's life. Whether that means lethal or not, it does not say. It just says protection of life. So that could be quality of life, could be a lot of things, right?
Right. But it's not like we have a certain case that by not disclosing this information from this speaker, somebody will get hurt, right? If it was a matter of, so here's the triangle, and by not disclosing this information, tomorrow night someone's going to get beaten black and blue, and I have that information, I have a right to I have an obligation to disclose that. I don't think that fits with the triangle, because kids are
that's why we're not using
That's
it.
why we're not using the triangle.
Okay, I thought you were pushing to use it, and I'm like,
No, I was
think
saying we're
That's why
not
we're not
using it
okay,
because
got it. I'm with you.
yeah. Never mind.
Yeah, sorry, I just went up. Apparently, I can't listen and see my
No, you
face at the
did.
same time. So.
No, that's okay. I was saying why we weren't using it, but
Got
no
it.
worries.
Got it.
All right. Well, I think that's
Yeah,
it.
I'm
Let
just
me
pulling up the assignment. I want to make sure whatever the rubric is says that we'll just
yes.
cover.
Good call. So
And while you're
students
going over that, I'm
describe-
just going to read the values. So service, social justice, dignity and worth of the person, importance of human relationships, integrity, and competence. So I think by not, even though it would be frustrating to not receive funding, but by not disclosing that information, I do think we're holding more to the values. All of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in the rubric, it says students describe the ethical dilemma in considerable detail. I feel like we have.
Yeah.
Students describe in considerable detail who is involved in the ethical dilemma and how they are affected by the ethical dilemma. I think we've done that as well. Students are keenly aware of and demonstrate explicit use of the code of ethics and ethical principles to respond to the ethical dilemma. We've definitely done that. Students determine the best course of action, describing how their decision maximizes the benefit and minimizes the risk for everyone involved, and defend it from the ethical arrangements they predict others would use. Arguments. I cannot read.
Wait, oh, go ahead.
We haven't really done that. We've done part of that one, but we haven't done it. We haven't defended it from the ethical arguments that we predict others would use. I mean, we kind of have, actually. We kind of have.
I
As you
think
said,
some people would be ruthless and go for it and do a whole campaign about it and not even try to talk with him. They would just be like, boom, information released to the media, because it says they've tried media pressure, but not with that information.
Well, we talked about the short-term and long-term ethical consequences.
Right.
So I guess we kind of have actually met that, because yeah, the arguments that people would use, are that, well, these kids aren't getting help, and why are you protecting one person over everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
And our argument would be, because we're asking for additional funding, we already have some funding, and it's not right based off of our code of ethics to air somebody's dirty laundry and do harm to an individual, because we're not supposed to do harm to anybody.
And my brain just doesn't see things through politically. Maybe the senator who gave us that information has an agenda and is hoping to push for something for political reasons that we might not know of. I don't even know. Politics are like,
and we have no way to know if it's true. So
I mean, we do.
Yeah.
It says we know someone who could easily
corroborate.
Corroborate the senator's allegations. So anyway, but again,
like, we don't know what their intentions are or what's going on. So.
Okay, so I just threw the rubric up onto the Google Doc. There's 4 sections. Do each of us just want to take one? Because I think we have to turn in the document too, to just kind of write out what we've been saying.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to take the slides off that Google Doc and just put 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll all just take 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah. Do we want to do them on a Google Doc or on the slideshow?
I think let's just put them directly into this Google Doc. We can all just put them in, like everybody just choose one.
I don't think we even need the slides.
I don't think we need the slides either.
Because we're not presenting it in class like the other class did.
Right. Yeah, we're not presenting anymore. So let's just each take a question, answer it, and then put them together. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's ethical dilemma, stakeholders, awareness, and course of action.
Okay. I'll take the first one, ethical dilemma. I'm on top, so
Wait, is this the same that we just, this looks so different.
the rubric.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wait, this is not the same rubric. Ah,
Copy
Did,
the
she
wrong
change,
stuff?
did Nicole change it?
I'm looking at the assignments rubric. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just copied it
It
off.
is the same. Okay. Yeah, I was reading the lower one. Okay. So, Joe, do you want to take the first one?
Sure.
I'll take the last one, course of action.
Okay.
Okay. I don't care which one I take, so
You want to do the second one?
sure. I'll do the
Yeah, I
second
don't
one.
even remember what they all were.
The stakeholders.
Oh, stakeholders, right. What was the other one?
So you have ethical dilemma, Ileana has stakeholders, I have awareness, Steph has course of action.
Okay.
So, and then just to reiterate mine, so we're not going to out him, obviously, but we're just going to continue with our own funding and continue to choose the media and try to get attention to our issue, right?
And we were going to try to talk to him individually and just be like, is this part of the reason why you're up against it? Is there anything else we can do? And just try to plead to him, knowing we have this information about him, and see if maybe we can get
Not
more
blackmail him,
information.
but say, hey, we heard this. Is this why you're against us? We just want to get to know you better.
Yeah.
Which is so risky, but
It is risky.
yeah.
So for the stakeholders, are we saying the stakeholders are obvious? I mean, it's pretty much the entire community, because we could argue that child abuse affects all of us.
Yeah, and then it's also like who's involved would be maybe taxpayers, like we were talking about kind of on the other side, like why he might not want this bill passed. So stakeholders on the other side who are on his side.
Right.
Right. Yeah, taxpayer. I'm just gonna write this down. Taxpayers.
But then, yeah, like families who are using our program.
Right. Families, children.
Does it say how long each section needs to be, or are we just doing like a paragraph or?
Like a paragraph.
Yeah.
I think like a
summarizing.
couple sentences or
Yep.
so. Like, yeah, just as long as it answers the question.
And then there's all the notes below. So if you forgot anything, I took notes and they're just in those bullet points below.
Awesome. Thank you.
And then maybe let's all have this done, maybe say a time, and then I'll like just look at everything, make sure it all is cohesive and turn it in for everybody.
And
Okay.
it's due Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we just have to, we don't have to each turn in something? Is this one of those things where we just turn it in once? I'm confused.
Oh, I think maybe once you have the Google Doc, let's all submit it individually, but it will be the same Google Doc with all our names, but I think we should all submit one to our own Canvas.
Okay.
And I'll just also do the recording.
Yeah.
Right,
So
because
we don't have it done by-
she's not going to want to have multiple media recordings submitted.
Right.
So
And
I guess, yeah.
And we can write that in our paper. And Rivka, Jake's going to be over here tonight. So if you're having a problem uploading, he's like total, yeah, he's computer savvy big time. That's what he does for a living. So he could probably help us
Okay, thanks.
do that tonight.
Yeah, I'll,
Awesome.
Okay.
So should we all try to have them done?
I'm going to do mine like right now.
I am
so it's
too.
just
I'm
done.
going to do mine right now.
Well, then I'll go in and look at them maybe tomorrow afternoon, give everyone the thumbs up that it looks cohesive, and we can all turn it in.
Cool.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Good work, team.
Your hair looks
Thanks
good.
for
Okay.
doing all the organizing, Rivka.
Yeah, Rivka is
You
the
did.
best at that.
That's awesome.
All
Yeah,
right.
thanks.
Bye, ladies.
Okay, bye. Take care, everyone.
Stop the recording. Save it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how to get rid of it.
Yeah, once you get out, I'm gonna try to save the recording.
Okay.